Okay, you said you have 3 college degrees, one in criminal justice, and I didn't ask you about this last time, I don't think, but you have one in criminal justice, one in political science, and one in business. I, too, have a few different college degrees, and I've talked about this with some other people on podcasts, so I'm curious to know what your take is on this. After getting multiple college degrees, do you think college was worth it to you? Like financially, I mean, if you had to spend money on it or just the whole spending the years in it, was it worth it for you?
I think any education is worth it for people, as long as it's something that you're interested in and that will better your life in some way, shape, or form. I'm all for, the more education you have, the better you are. It doesn't necessarily have to come from a formal university or a college or something like that. I still read a lot to constantly learn stuff.
Yeah.
And I think the more that you learn, the better off you are, as long as you allow that the education and the knowledge that you've gained to actually affect how you live your life. And I can't say I'm 100% on that. I mean, how many times have we been told, fast food is not good for you, but yet you still wander off to, whatever burger joint.
What's your guilty pleasure burger joint or fast food joint?
Oh, Wendy's. Up here, obviously, if I was back home, it'd be Whataburger. But yeah. Wait, what was that for?
What was what for?
I said Whataburger, and you went.
Oh no, I was just I was just thinking about like what my burger would be, and I'm like thinking White Castle, and I was just like thinking about it for some reason. I'm not sure why I made that face. I was definitely not making the face at your burger, but I'm a big like White Castle fan for some reason.
It took me a while to get used to White Castle because we have Crystals down south, which is almost the same. It's a little different, but it's basically based off of the same idea, the little burgers and fries and stuff. So, but yeah, I've tried White Castle. They're not too bad. It just takes too many of them to make a meal. So,
okay. So going back to the question about the college stuff, I guess the reason I brought it up is because I had a discussion with like somebody else about this, about the financial aspect of things. And as far my opinion on that, for those who didn't see this episode, I'm referring to, I'm all for what you said about the education aspect of things. The financial end of things, though, for me is probably my biggest regret about college because I took out student loans. I don't know if you had to take out loans to go to college. See, I took out the loans, and now what's that?
All paid for it.
If college is all paid for, fuck yeah, go for that. Why wouldn't you?
Y'all paid for that.
In my case, I really, like I said, I've always been like a very determined person, and at that point in my life, I thought that college would have been the best track for me. So I took out the loans myself and I went there. Now, while I did gain a good education from college, now the amount of work that I have to do to pay off those loans are actually taking away from my ability to learn new things, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like there's a lot more things I want to learn and I want to do in my life. And I have to do things that I don't want to do to make money in order to pay those loans off. So it's like in the long term, I don't think college helped me. If I could go back, I would have done one of two things. I would have paid out of pocket, and just done the slow ride and gone for 20 years and graduated when I was 40 and just did 2 classes at a time. I would have done that. Or rather than going to college, I would have just found teachers who specialized in these subjects and just took courses from them as opposed to the whole college degree. So I'm mixed about that. I agree with you about the education thing, but if you have to pay for it yourself, in my opinion, it's not worth it. I mean, depending on what you want to do. If you want to be a doctor, it's going to pay itself back. But I mean, I studied music. I don't think I needed to take out $80,000 of debt to be a musician. I probably could have just found a really good music professor or a couple really good music professors and avoided all the math and English classes and stuff that I wasted money on,
But one of the things, and you kind of hit a really good point. is it worth it to do it all at once? It maybe is a question I would say. So the reason I put it that way is, for instance, like I have an aunt who retired as a nurse practitioner, and what she did to make sure that she really wanted to do, like, that wasn't her ultimate goal. She just wanted to be a registered nurse at the beginning. But what she did was she was like, oh, I'll go get my CNA license and kind of test the waters a little bit and see if that's what I want to do. I think that's one of the things that's kind of been pushed onto, I'd probably say, starting with my generation, from above. My dad wasn't like this, luckily, but you could tell it in school. Like everything's leading towards college, towards university, and nobody's really talking about like, hey, is this degree really going to get you into the job that you think you want? And think you want is the preferred, is the part of that sentence that I always tell people, because I mean, I have so many friends that have degree, MBAs, people I went to class with for my master's in business, that they're not even in business anymore. They hated it because they literally did nothing but go to college. They went from freshman year through their MBA and never started using any of that business stuff. And
also, it's hard to know who you are when you're 18. You know what I mean? Like when you're right. That is like kind of the message in the high schools. Like they kind of are just like, get the good, what is it? The SAT, get a good SAT score, get into college. And there's really no career planning for your future. There's really no conversations like you're saying, like, hey, have you ever thought of trying an internship? Have you ever thought about taking a break and tried working different places to see what field you even like before you commit to a degree? So I totally agree with you. Like in high schools, there definitely should be more like actual career planning about this stuff. Like, and like honest conversations from people who have been to college. Like, hey, I went to college. I chose the wrong degree. Now I'm in student loan debt. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think people should be more like, people should be more aware of that stuff before they're making these decisions, because 18 years old, you're just going to kind of, I mean, unless you're a very rebellious 18-year-old, but I would say a lot of 18-year-olds just kind of go with the flow of what they're being told to do by society,
Yeah. And even if you're rebellious, eventually you still got to figure out some way to pay for stuff. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, even when I, got out of the Army, I hit quite a few different jobs in there because I like the people. I would find a job that I really liked the people I worked with, but I was like, I can't see myself doing this for 20 years.
Yeah.
So same thing. Like when we talked about ESPN, like they paid really well, they covered everything, but you're on the road 6 days out of 7 in a week, and there are no holidays. Like